So, 3 senior working royals will be out of action over the coming weeks after 2 unprecedented health updates revealed the Princess of Wales is recovering from abdominal surgery and is likely to remain there for up to 2 weeks, while the King will undergo a procedure to address an enlarged prostate next week.
And the Prince of Wales is going to clear his diary because he's helping his wife get better and helping look after their children as well. So we're joined now by ITV News' royal editor, Chris Shipp, and Dr. Hillary. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Daily Mail this morning, Chris. Let's pray that they're both OK. It's quite a dramatic headline in the wake of 2 statements which say they're not cancerous, benign. But I think, particularly in the case of the Princess of Wales, it's quite something to have surgery, have 2 weeks in hospital recovering, and then not work again until Easter. So there is concern.
Easter. Yeah, that is. I mean, I'm not a headline writer, but that is quite worrying when you look at the Mail this morning. And yeah, I think that is the thing with Princess of Wales. She was in hospital for that surgery 2 days ago now. She's been in hospital for 2 nights. But there for 10 to 14 days. Now, either this is something extremely serious, and again, you know, it's not our job to speculate about what it is, and she specifically asked her for her medical information to be kept private. But, I mean, clearly something very serious. Or it's a case of expectation management, and, you know, if she gets out within 5 days, everyone will say, oh, she's done very well and she's gone home to recover. But nevertheless, everything cancelled until after Easter, including there was talk of them going to Italy on a kind of mini-royal tour just before Easter. And we were all, like, checking our flights to Rome, and but that's obviously not going to happen now. And Prince William, as you say, is also cutting back his time. So we've kind of got 4 royals that we really care about these days, and we all wanted a slimmed-down royal family. King, Queen, William and Kate. Kind of 2.5 of them are out of action for a long time, and next week 2 of them are actually in hospital having, you know, some quite major medical treatment.
And sort of we were sort of joking about it a little bit before, when in the break about sort of they're like these royal health stories like buses. One comes along and then another one straight after. But it's very unusual, Chris, to have 2 really serious health stories concerning the royals coming at the same time.
Yeah, you don't need to tell me that. I got one announcement yesterday afternoon. I thought, this is a really big story, and cancelled my day off. Obviously, that's part of the job. And then got another one half an hour later, and I kind of couldn't actually believe what I was reading on my phone.
So does that suggest that the King's operation is urgent, then? Because otherwise, you would imagine
they could have left it,
they could schedule it differently.
I mean, there are different cases of enlarged prostate, and here's your expert on that, of course. But the King's cancelled a couple of engagements he had today. Now, he's up in Scotland at the moment, but he was meant to be at Dumfries House today, seeing some, among others, cabinet ministers. And the reason they announced it yesterday was because, on doctor's advice, he's been told to cancel these meetings before his operation next week, and therefore they didn't want cabinet ministers travelling up to Scotland only to find out that the King can't see them.
Because, Dr. Hillary, it's not like they're on an NHS waiting list and as soon as your operation comes up, you have to go. They can schedule these according to their own purposes. Is an enlarged prostate a medical emergency that needs to be treated immediately?
Not usually. I mean, it's a very common condition in 50% of men over 50. Will develop an enlarged prostate, which is almost very commonly benign. Only 1 in 10 are cancerous, so 9 out of 10 cases of prostate enlargement are benign. The symptoms are troublesome, and they can often be managed with medicines or lifestyle changes. However, they can suddenly deteriorate, in which case the symptoms are very inconvenient. So carrying out engagements would be very difficult. So that's when a decision might be made. Let's get it done. Let's get it sorted, and then you can carry on working normally.
It's all very well for us to say that the King is being open and transparent about this and it'll help people. I think a lot of people would struggle to know where the prostate is. Do you want to just explain?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that he is talking openly about it. The taboo, the stigma of prostate conditions, it is being eroded, thankfully, quite rightly, just like breast cancer and breast self-examination in women has over the years. The prostate is a walnut-sized gland that sits at the base of the bladder, and when it enlarges, as it always does in men as they get older, it can compress the water pipe and cause urinary symptoms such as, you know, the need to go urgently or more often, a weaker stream of urine. These are very common symptoms. And when men get those symptoms, they should see their doctor, have it investigated, rule out anything else, including prostate cancer, and if necessary, go on to treatment, which is often tablets to start with, lifestyle changes, and, as I say, surgery. Various forms of surgery, but very commonly done now is a transurethral resection, where you just open up the water pipe and get rid of your symptoms that way.
But interesting you say it can be suddenly very urgent, and I kind of suggest that's what's happened with the King, and that's why he's needed to cancel, today and tomorrow's appointments.
There's an interesting sort of part of this, isn't there, that the King suddenly being this open and transparent with the detail of what's happening. You wonder, we were speculating about this earlier, that in a couple of years, whether we'll see a knock-on effect of that, and actually men of a certain age being more open and actually going and getting checked up, and suddenly an increase of that. So there could be the King Charles effect regarding this.
King Charles effect of prostate.
Yes.
It's two things you wouldn't put in the same sentence normally. Listen, I agree with you on that one. I also think that there's another reason that they were quite open about this yesterday. Not only, I think, is probably a very good thing that they will encourage other men to go and get things checked. If the King can say it, so can I, kind of thing. Yeah. But also, imagine if he went into hospital next week as a relatively new monarch, 18 months or so into the job, but just turned 75, so an elderly monarch. By the way, I've just come back from Copenhagen, where an elderly monarch's actually chosen to abdicate and hand down the throne. There would be all sorts of speculation. I mean, they would have set hairs running everywhere about what's wrong with the King and are we into another situation of him going in and out of hospital. So I think telling us what it is and why he's going into hospital was a very good idea, I think.
Is this a sign of a new age of the royal family, that Princess of Wales is in hospital and unable to do public duties until after Easter, and Prince William also takes a step back in order to look after the children and look after his wife?
Yes, and a lot of people out there will be saying, hold on a minute, they've got plenty of help, and it's not as if, Kate has to put the hoover around on the Tuesday afternoon. But, nevertheless, they've got 3 children and, she's having some pretty serious surgery done. She won't want the kids climbing all over her, so a very good idea that Prince William's stepping back. He hasn't cancelled all of his engagements, just some of them. He's kind of scaling them back a little bit, and I mentioned earlier about there'll be no foreign travel, but it does feel like a bit of a new age, doesn't it, of putting family first. And, 2.5 members of the royal family being out of action. There's a lot of pressure on Queen Camilla. Of course, she's the only one working at the moment. And she's the oldest of them all. Well, again, but, we're talking about the 4 senior royals. Yeah. But you've got Princess Anne, you've got, Edward and Sophie, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, as they are now, of course. But the 4 most senior royals we talk about the most, 2.5 of them are not around. And
Hilary, just in case anybody happens to be sitting there this morning and doesn't really know, because obviously it's a condition that can affect men as they get over 50, what would be the symptoms that people should be looking out for, and if they do experience that?
OK, so it would be getting up at night more often, or going more often during the day as well, a weaker stream of urine, a bit of hesitancy when you start to pee, a bit of dribbling at the end of the stream. These are very common symptoms, and any man experiencing those symptoms should go and see their GP, get it checked out, because whilst it's likely that it's benign, there's always a small chance that it could be prostate cancer, in which case further investigations need to be done. So you'd have a blood test, you'd have a rectal examination, but get it sorted. And
it's eminently treatable.
It will save lives. If more men came forward with those symptoms early, instead of denying it, pretending it's not happening and being embarrassed about it, we would have less men dying, literally, of embarrassment. I
remember what the royals did with mental health about sort of 7 or 8 years ago. Maybe this is the new area of health where they're going to have quite a significant effect.
Well, it certainly led us to discuss it in a way that I don't think we have previously on breakfast television.
There should be no embarrassment here. Anything below the waist, we should be talking about these things. It saves lives.
Absolutely right. Dr. Hilary, thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.